Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben Crossman, and I hope all of you are having a great day. It is Friday. We're all having a good one and ready for the weekend. But yeah, so today on the program, a lot of fun. Second part of the show, as usual, will be computer and technology news, where we talk about a number of different stories, including how who knew, but high-speed internet could actually have some downsides. I know everyone wants faster and faster, but it could be one of the growing causes of sleep deprivation. And I don't know what they're talking about. I have great internet speed, and I get a solid 3 hours of sleep a night. It is wonderful. So I don't know. So we have stories like that. We have stories such as Brookestone, unfortunately, announcing that that's no longer going to have so many stores because Brookestone has been a longtime friend of the show. So always unfortunate to see that. But as I understand it, they're not going away entirely. So still lots of cool gadgets. And a lot more. So that's in the second part of the program. In the first part, though, as we do, we have an interview. But first time talking with this company, looking forward to it. And very, very, very simple website, Beautiful.AI will be joining us as we talk all about what they do, how they do it, and we'll be talking with them in just a moment. So a couple of things before we get started, including computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything and anything having to do with today's show. So be that the social media contest brought to you by Logitech, the live video stream brought to you by OWC, or just articles, links to our guest websites, so much more right there at computeramerica.com. So again, hopefully everyone out there is doing well and you are ready for another hour of the program. Let's go ahead, bring on our guest, and get this conversation started. So, as I said before, Beautiful.AI, tell us all about what they do and and how they do it, is none other than the CEO and founder of the company, Mr. Mitch Grasso. So, Mitch, welcome on to Computer America. Hopefully you're doing well.
Doing well, thanks.
All right, our pleasure, our pleasure. So, again, thank you for joining us. Let's go ahead and get a bit of a background on Beautiful.AI. How'd you go about founding this, and a bit of your background. Were you always in tech? And how'd you come up with this idea?
Sure. Well, I've been in tech for almost 20 years out here. So this is my third startup. My last one was also a tool for helping people build presentations and visual documents. It was called SlideRocket, and I sold that to VMware back in 2011. And it was really the experience of building that startup where I learned what I wanted to do in the next one. And presentations and visual documents are a really interesting space for me. I mean, helping people figure out how to visualize their message, their story, and do it well is a big challenge because you really never met somebody who was excited about building a presentation, staying up till 11 o'clock on a Sunday night for their Monday meeting, figuring out how to visualize some sort of arcane concept into something graphical like an infographic, and people tend to fall back on bullet points because they just want to verbalize their thoughts rather than try and visualize them. And with SlideRocket, I had similar, or my users had similar problems. We built the tool really for designers to try and mimic the features of PowerPoint and Keynote, but put them in the cloud and add all the amazing stuff that happened from that: collaboration, analytics, access anywhere. But at the end of the day, the users were still not designers, and they were still frustrated that they weren't able to create beautiful presentations. And after selling that company and thinking about what I want to do next, it realized that I felt like I could sort of flip the story and switch it around. So rather than you needing to be the expert, rather than you needing to be the designer, I could make the software be the expert. I could take my design skills and or knowledge and other people's design skills and sort of put them into the product and let it do the design for you. And so out of that came what eventually became known as Beautiful.AI. And the idea being that, you don't need to be doing the design. Let's let the product do it for you. So we created this opinionated software system that really holds you through the design process so you can focus on just telling your story, getting your ideas down, and it communicates that intent into something visual.
So, and I think that it's not really funny, but it's kind of interesting that obviously Beautiful.AI, artificial intelligence, is going to come into this at some point. And the fact that you want to, make something, make a machine learning or something that will help people present data, in a very, I don't want to say automated, but very simple way. That's kind of funny that you use artificial intelligence, because that was the problem with data and, data to construct artificial intelligence, is that you can feed all of this data into an AI or machine learning or whatever. But having it spit out something useful, having a million data points and then being able to extract a useful infographic, chart, trend, whatever, that was the part that they're still working on with AI in general. So, I mean, how important is visualizing data, today and into the future? Because, hey, if we have data, we're getting more and more data. How important is it to, kind of accurately and conveniently turn it into something that we can understand?
Oh, I mean, I think it's hugely important. I mean, people communicate much more visually now than they used to. PowerPoints and keynotes and presentations and infographics have become, daily occurrences, in your work life. And pretty much everyone is building these sort of presentations now and looking for ways to communicate their ideas. And I mean, presentations are intended to be something to support your story. They're not necessarily a document unto themselves, although sometimes they end up being that. And figuring out, how I can communicate my point articulately and quickly is very important. As far as the AI, we are called Beautiful.AI. We do use AI technologies. We're not quite at the sophistication that you sort of inferred at the beginning.
Okay.
We like to consider ourselves, we're at the early stages of design AI, where we're still programming in the rules of the road, for example. And we've built heuristic systems that help evaluate those rules to come up with the best solution in the shortest amount of time. But it's still a designer or a user who's really making those aesthetic calls as what looks good and what doesn't look good and what fits. And the technology is more about streamlining that and streamlining the user experience so they can find the intent that they want to communicate, so that they can pick the best area of an image to overlay text or to focus on the point of interest. Things like that. But as we move forward,
right,
we'll introduce more and more AI technologies that help with that. But I agree that, finding a computer that can be an artist is a little bit of a challenge.
I got you. But clearly the end game is going to be, get people on the platform, use it, and then as people use it and you kind of teach your system, what people want out of a certain document, then, I will say you at least have the brand name to make something that you can eventually spit out a document that looks good and, conveys information well.
And we can do that today. I mean, for me, AI can mean a set of technologies, but it also means a sort of a user experience where the software is an expert and you don't have to be.
Oh.
And that's really what technologies we use on the back end and how we build that is almost irrelevant at the end of the day. What I want to build is a system that you can focus on telling your story, and it will make you look beautiful for you.
So, growing up, I remember the first PowerPoint presentation I made was in fourth grade. It was like the year PowerPoint came out, and my teacher was blown away because, she was still using the overhead projector with the clear sheets and the markers. And I was like, I can do this. And she's like, wow, that's amazing. And I will say, from fourth grade to now, not a lot has changed in 10, 15 years as far as PowerPoints go. I think there's cooler transitions, but not a lot more else to it. Talk about who's going to be using this, using your platform. Is it students? Is it business professionals? Who are you really targeting this service to?
Well, I mean, the amazing thing about presentations and visual documents, as you pointed out, is pretty much everyone, they touch everyone, from students to, my parents do it. But really the focus is on knowledge workers or business users who are doing it in a professional capacity. I mean, we're a freemium tool. We'll always have a free version of the product. We'll always support students, and we're getting a lot of great feedback from them. But the target ultimately is to build a tool that business users will gravitate towards, because they're the ones who are, building these presentations for mission critical or even daily kind of occurrences of the HR manager presenting the benefits package, the product manager presenting the roadmap, the CEO doing a company update, or sales and marketing obviously pitching their product and company. Creating visual documents and communicating in front of them, whether you're presenting them or distributing them, is a very important part of daily business life today.
And so, as I said, just a second ago, that it really hasn't changed that much. For anyone out there watching the video portion of the show, we're going through your website. We're going, I think now we're in the sections about how it works. And I'm interested in some of these, kind of smart templates, smart techniques that you utilize, because I think that a lot of people have been there. They design a sheet, they make it look perfectly, and then they're like, all right, I'll just add one little footnote, and all of the formatting gets messed up, and then they have to spend another 15 minutes getting it all right again.
Exactly.
You kind of claim that your template is going to know just kind of how to rearrange itself, font, size, picture. Talk about some of the smart tools that they'll find when they actually, how about this? Even better, let's start from a blank screen, because that's the dreaded part. People don't know where to start, where to begin. I see you have templates, and then talk about some of the adaptive design that you have, and then just walk us through creating a presentation.
Well, the best part is we don't ever have blank slides. You start from a template. You go to a library of I believe there's 40 or 50 right now, but there'll be a lot more eventually, templates, and you tell us what you're trying to communicate. Maybe you're just trying to show a title slide, but maybe you're trying to communicate growth, or you're trying to compare items. You're trying to show time, you want to show people, organization, comparison, whatever it is, you'll find a template that sort of represents that concept. You add it to your deck, and then you just basically start filling in the information. If, for example, it's a team slide and you want to show 3 team members, you just click add another member, and it formats the whole slide for you and lays it all out. So every slide template is almost its own little product unto itself. They all have these different features and these different sort of things that can be turned on and off, but they always respond and relay out and do that all for you. You never pick font sizes. You don't make layout decisions in this tool. That can be challenging for some people at first, because they're used to a tool like PowerPoint where they've got all these decisions they can make. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, we feel that, yes, you can use a tool like PowerPoint and you can create a title slide, and there's a billion different ways you can do that, but do you really want there to be? So we created this opinionated software that restricts you, it constrains you and limits you from doing what you can do. It keeps you on rails, but the result always looks polished and clean and good. We give you a library of stock photography and icons and logos that you can use on your product. Again, curated stuff that looks great. We create a bunch of theme management tools so you can customize the theme to match your brand, put your colors in, pick from different fonts. But again, it tries to keep you very constrained.
And I've seen, this same, kind of style work in web design where, you used to be able to, kind of go in and get into the nitty gritty, design everything from scratch. And that led to a lot of websites that, were actually very barren, poorly designed, looked awful. Because people did have so many options and they didn't know which way to take it. And then came, something like WordPress where they gave you templates and, you can download them, you can start from them. And admittedly, every once in a while you stumble upon a website with the same template and you're like, hey, they did that too. But it made a lot of people more, I guess, eager or more ready to just kind of do their own project as opposed to saying, I'll just farm this out to someone else or I'll let someone else do this. Have you seen, people who use this kind of say the same thing where it's like, I'm more ready to make a presentation as opposed to, like you said before, just throw up bullet points and just talk someone's ear off?
Absolutely. I mean, we liken that also to tools like Squarespace and Weebly or Wix, which are website builders that, constrain you from what you can do, but the output looks great. I mean, the story I can tell you is when I was meeting with investors to raise capital for this company, right. One of the investors I met with said to me, I think you're underestimating your market, which is not normally what you hear from investors. You usually hear the other way around. And his take was on, the comparable I'll make is before Uber, I used to take a cab, once every 3 months, but now because it's so easy and so convenient, I'm taking, Uber rides 20 times a month. And, he felt like our product could do the same sort of thing that, alleviating that stress and that part of the effort of having to worry about what it looks like and just flow your ideas out onto the page and guarantee that it's going to be beautiful really makes it easier to build these documents and then to share them.
I completely agree, and that's and like you said, that's a very good thing to hear from people who are looking and evaluating the validity of your idea. And speaking of the validity of your idea, how has this kind of caught on? I mean, are you finding, because obviously there are a number of software tools out there that mimic what PowerPoint can do. PowerPoint itself is, for the past 15 years has been an industry standard. You're coming into a place that doesn't, or at least you wouldn't traditionally think would have a much elbow room to kind of squeeze in there and start making a name for yourself. How has the adoption been?
Adoption's been amazing. We launched the product in February. We've got over 100,000 users who have signed up, but more importantly, they're really coming back on a daily basis. Like 2/3 of the users are returning users. The feedback has been tremendous. We've got a page on our website, just a wall of quotes that people are either tweeting or Facebooking or directly sending us, and they seem really excited about the pain that we're alleviating. And I think that's sort of the answer to the other part of your question is, yeah, PowerPoint is entrenched and it's PowerPoint versus, everyone else. Mm-hmm. And that's a good thing and a bad thing. I mean, it's a tool that has a lot of baggage. A lot of people use it and they're comfortable with how they use it. But again, I find when I talk to people or meet people and we talk about presentations, nobody's satisfied with the process of building presentations. Even presentation designers don't want to be building presentations. It's just a frustrating, hard thing to achieve as a designer. And when you're not a designer, when you're an expert at something else and you're given this blank canvas, it's a frustrating experience. And this is why you see so many bad presentations. This is why you see so many bullet points, because faced with figuring out how to visualize some idea or concept, it's much easier to just verbalize the thoughts that you've got and put them in the form of bullet points. And so I'm looking forward to this. I mean, I don't really look in an odd way as PowerPoint as being a direct competitor. I think there will always be people who want a blank canvas authoring tool who want that control and they want to put the colors and the fonts and the details where they want to put them, and that's fine. That tool is great, but we're taking a different approach to a similar result, which is letting the software be the expert.
No, and obviously you are still giving people enough tools that they can still get the job that they want done. Like, I'm sure that people who are used to, a more hands-on approach can still go back and do that. But also speak real quick to the point, because another thing with other document creators is the idea of compatibility, or the idea that and it's kind of gone away with cloud services and the idea that you can share documents on the cloud. But when you are finished with the presentation, is this available through your website? Can people download it and put it on a thumb drive? How does one share one of your presentations?
So all of the above, basically. We prefer if you stay within our ecosystem. We think you should present within the tool. There are advantages to doing that. So we provide presentation. You can play back your presentation. You can share that presentation link with people and let them view it. You can lock it down so only certain people can view it. If you do that, you get advantage of the built-in animations and all the special effects that are in the presentation. However, we do recognize that some people want to pull it out of the system and use it in another tool like PowerPoint or Keynote. Mm-hmm. So we provide PowerPoint export and PDF export. Those exports are not fully functional or fully featured. Like, some things are not editable, and animations obviously don't come out. We also have an offline version of our player coming out very soon, where if you're concerned about presenting over Wi-Fi, over an internet connection, you can download your presentation and play it locally from your hard drive and not have to concern yourself with that.
Very, very cool. So talk about just why presentations. I know that it's a bit in your background. Starting new companies, this seemed kind of right up your alley and comfortable. But why presentations? Because there are a lot of, if you're talking about office tools, I think there's still a lot of room out there for either collaboration tools or tools that maybe document hosting, file sharing. Amazon's making $1 trillion off of hosting just server space. Why did you just decide to go with a presentation tool?
Mostly presentations fit me. I come from a design background. I was a designer before I was an engineer, before I was an entrepreneur. And it's just this great cross-section for me of this challenge of how do I, build a tool that can facilitate great design and itself understand great design as well. And it always felt like a space that was underserved. It's been hard for people to compete with PowerPoint. The modus operandi has generally been, I'm going to create a subset of the PowerPoint features and build a product, but they just don't have legs, because at the end of the day, presentations are complicated. Communicating data is complicated, and you can't just put a picture with some text on top of it on a slide. Eventually you're going to need a chart, and eventually you're going to need a timeline, and you're going to need a table, and you're going to need some other sophisticated stuff. And I find that challenge of making great design and creating this opinionated software that works within the constraint of a 16 by 9 slide format very hard, but very fulfilling at the same time. And I like helping people design beautiful things. That's sort of what my career has been in various forms, is building these sort of content creation tools.
No, makes perfect sense. So one thing that we talked or we mentioned but we didn't talk about, you have your own. Let's see, I think it was like a photo library where people can pull images and other things out of a reserve of images that you have. Where do those images come from, and how many pictures do you have for people to choose from? Because these are resources they're going to choose as they make their presentation.
Well, we tie into a couple different free stock photography services, Unsplash and Pixabay, and we evaluated them as having really great photography. Obviously, you can upload your own. We also created our own icon library of a few hundred, or I mean 1,000 icons of all different sorts of subjects and ideas, but all in the same style, so you don't have that problem of mixing and matching it from different services. And then we tie into a logo search. So if you're searching for a logo for a company or for your company or for a client or a sales prospect, you can easily pull those into the presentation as well.
Makes perfect sense. So tell us what some of your favorite features of Beautiful AI happen to be. I mean, I'm sure that you have used it probably more than anyone else. What are some of your favorite features when you're using it?
Well, to me, it's all about the auto layout. I mean, it's all about the fact that when I add another bullet point or when I add another team member to a slide or another milestone to a timeline or another segment to a pyramid, that everything adapts and everything moves around. And that was the number one sort of goal to get in there, that it does this automatically and it fills things out. If you don't want a header, you take the header away and everything kind of expands to fill that space. If you need an extra text box, you stick an extra text box on the side, and again, everything sort of smoothly moves out of the way and repositions itself. If you've got 3 team members on your team slide and they're vertical where the picture is above and the text is below, and you add a 4th, it might decide that it needs to go to horizontal, and it will do that automatically. If you change the background color from light to dark, it will change the foreground text so that it shows up. If you put a picture under text, it will put a drop shadow on the text for you and make sure it looks good. It's just all of those automatic layout things is what makes it a joy to use.
I think a lot of what goes into design is, and people are hard to realize this, is that if you just stick with a theme, your product will come out looking very, very nice. So just doing that automatically, I think, is going to help a lot of people out there, who don't have that, kind of head for design. I know I sure don't, but I've learned some basics. So we only have a couple minutes left, so I have 2 questions for you. The first, we went to the pricing section of your website, free version, of course. You sign up, make a free account. I'm sure you do it through the website, and that's great. We love free stuff. And then the other one was your pro tier, which I have a question. What would be included in the pro tier? Like, what are you hoping to provide in that? And also, you don't have a price listed yet, so when's that coming out?
So the great news is we raised a lot of money, and our focus has been on really on making a great experience for individuals and not really worrying about monetizing the product yet. Now, clearly at some point we will monetize, and it'll probably be towards the end of the year. The goal is that mostly everything that's available today will remain free. And more collaboration tools. Some of the people we're talking to are very excited about being able to have a theme, custom themes and controlled branding across their organization, more collaboration tools, analytics, things like that. Things that are appealing to business people are stuff that we'll put into the premium tier when we roll that out. Probably around.
Yeah. I could definitely see having the ability to kind of customize, like, let's say you had a couple of companies here that work with you. Let's say, pick one at random, Samsung. I'm sure that Samsung would really appreciate having like a standard template that Samsung, would have logos and color schemes and things like that just for Samsung. And, so I can see where that goes. We have like a minute left, so I will go ahead and leave you with one last question. And I will say, Mitch, what is next for Beautiful AI? And if people want to find out more, where can they go?
Well, next is a big topic, so we won't go too far into it. But, presentations are not the only type of documents that, need this beautiful treatment. And we ultimately aim to attack other types of documents, whether they be pure text documents or sales proposals or leave behinds, maybe the email marketing, websites. I mean, again, any place where design intersects with business is a place that we can touch. As far as us, you can check us out at Beautiful.AI. It's free to sign up, and It's free to use.
And Mitch, I'm gonna have to cut you off there, but everyone, Beautiful.AI, we have a link to it in the show notes. And Mitch, thank you for coming on the show, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. That's 800-215-4461.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 32 minutes past the hour, and hey, we just finished our interview with Beautiful.AI. Had to end it kind of abruptly, but I think we got all the information we need to get out there. And overall, hey, if you want to find out more, Beautiful.AI, or a link to it at computeramerica.com right there in today's show notes. And also, while I talk and stall with my voice just for a second, we're going to pull up one of our contests. And because, hey, it is... Here we go. Yep, there we go. So because it is Friday and we normally draw a prize from our Logitech contest where we give away an M720 Logitech mouse, well, here we go. Let's go ahead and draw another prize. So we have some music. There we go. That's nice. Really nice. And by the way, if you want to enter, feel free to go to computeramerica.com right there on the right, and you can find the contest. Very easy to enter multiple ways. And hey, maybe we could be calling your name, who is... I like that. So this week's winner for the contest is none other than Ben Marshall. Man, wrong Ben. I thought I was going to win for once. But nope. Ben Marshall Ben Marshall listens to us from Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. I didn't even know there was a Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. But Ben Marshall, all they had to do was find us on Facebook. And by the way, hey, it's not too hard. You can do it too if you want to be next week's Ben. So we have Ben's information. We'll contact them after the show. And yeah, hey, that's just that simple. So again, thank you Logitech for helping out with this. And we have a couple more contests coming up here soon. So keep an eye out for that because it's not just the one anymore. We'll be having another here shortly. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into computer and technology news. And by the way, before we do, folks, if you're out there listening and you feel like you want more out of Computer America, well, that's where twitch.tv/Computer America enters. And if you'd like to watch Computer America, if you'd like to interact with us in the chat room, if you'd like to, join us for any old reason during the live program, because we are heard live on IRN. But if you want to interact with us, join us at twitch.tv/Computer America. And Yeah, hey, give us a shout out, say hi. And in the meantime, computer and technology news brought to you by OWC. Here we go. So, and by the way, OWCdigital.com if you'd like to go check out their products, or MacSales.com if you want to check out, everything that they do. We just had an interview with Larry, the founder of OWC, about a couple days ago, and yeah, you should definitely give that a listen if you are interested at all at what they have, what they do, what they have to offer. And really, they're just a bunch of Mac aficionados, but also they have things for PC and Linux. But they just want to provide a good service, a good quality product, and yeah, we're more than happy that they are a sponsor of Computer America. So let's talk about computer technology news. Our first story that we're going to talk about, and I had a couple here I definitely wanted to get to, but I think the first one we're going to do is a little bit unfortunate news, and that's Brookestone. Brookestone was a friend of the show. We talked with we talked with the upper level with upper level executives all the time. Had them on the show. They were around the holidays, a regular guest, telling us all about what's new, what's different, cool gadgets, and Brookestone just kind of filled that niche of kind of medium high-end gadgets and toys and gizmos that I think will be sorely missed, because now they have announced that they declared bankruptcy. I know, sad news for everyone. So Brookestone declares bankruptcy after more than 40 years of business, and all U.S. stores will be shuttered. So that's a lot of malls that will suddenly have another space open. Man, things are not looking good for the average American retail mall. But so they said that home retail chain Brookestone has filed for bankruptcy for the second time since 2014 after more than 4 decades of business. And barring 35 airport locations, all of its U.S. outlets will be shut down. So obviously it seems like the airport locations were well were well in hand, and those get to stick around, but it sounds like all of the ones in the U.S. outlet malls and things like that, those will be going away. So for many, Brookstone's exit from the shopping scene may be as bittersweet as when the Sharper Image closed its doors in 2008, or Sky Mall's demise several years later. It had a quirky assembly of non-essentials, 3D printing pens, Parrot AR drones, and a gigantic Dance Dance Revolution remote control, offered customers a welcome escape from the throes of everyday life and to get some obscure gifts. That's what we kind of used it for, where we really used Brookestone as a way to kind of shop for Craig, because it's kind of hard to shop for the geek who has everything. But a store like Brookestone, obviously, hey, they probably have something that that geeks don't have. Also, I think they were like one of the leading sales of massage chairs, and making room for more Starbucks, right? Because hey, people love coffee, but apparently people don't love $6,000 massage chairs. So they said that, of course, Brookestone CFO Greg Trudeau said recent technology shifts in e-commerce triggered data loss, which had a severely damaging impact upon digital sales. So I think that's the main reason that Brookestone is shutting down. It's not that people can't afford what was available at Brookestone. It's not that people didn't care about weird gifts or even just weird items for themselves, but it was more the fact that I think Brookestone was a good place to go in and touch things and try them out. But because they were kind of pricey, because a drone is going to be, a decent investment, or a 3D printing pen was going to be a decent investment, it's not a $10 toy from Toys R Us. They would go into Brookestone, they would touch, they would play, they would explore, but then they would go on, they would look at the price and go, there has to be a better price online, or I could probably get this online for cheaper. And it's that shift from retail store to e-commerce The same thing that brought Best Buy to its knees, I think, is what eventually killed Brookestone. Was that, they had good products, they had a good business. It's just people don't buy things in person anymore. They go home and they do their research like smart consumers. So they said that Brookestone, which now faces a $500 million debt, that's a lot of money, revealed supply chain issues and management turnover also contributed to its closure. So, all right, take back everything I just said. It seems like the business was also being run kind of flipsy-flopsy. So, Brookestone CEO said it was a difficult decision to shut down mall stores, but is still keen to continue operations with a smaller physical footprint. So, Brookestone hasn't been completely extinguished from the retail map. You'll just need to seek it out, your novelty products online. So, yeah, $500 million in debt and a couple of turnovers. Either way, I think, as they said before, sharper image before it, even before that, there was, it was sharper image before that, and then Sky Mall, the magazine, before that. Now Brookestone. It's, again, just kind of the business model that they're doing, the weird gifts, the things that just don't fit into other stores. Those are the ones going out of business because you can now buy those things online. It's much cheaper. You don't have to have a warehouse full of, a lot of expensive product. You can just kind of order them as you need them. And that makes sense. I guess the airport locations are staying open because, if you need a neck pillow, I guess Brookstone's probably the best place, and they can charge you $60 for a neck pillow. But everyone else, they're gone. They're off. So there you have it. Brookestone, no more. And it's a shame because, like I said, they were a friend of the show. So they're kind of gone. So anyways, there's that one. Let's go ahead and talk about a sign of the times. Something that shouldn't have even been an issue, which I think it isn't. It's just the echo chamber of the internet leads to these kinds of things. But Google Map, you may have heard about them. They're one of the best services out there if you need to navigate the world. If you need directions to the airport, you're probably going to go to Google Maps. If you need to find a place to eat, you're probably going to find a Google Map with all of the local Thai restaurants pinned to it. All that and more right there. And I guess one part was really frustrating a certain group of people. And that's the fact that if you zoomed out, it had a more traditional map, where you you kind of lay it out, and maps would show an Earth that was flattened, which wasn't really a problem. It's it's the way that maps have looked for a long time. But now we are officially moving into a day and age where we have a globe instead of a map just to drive the point home. So this coming to us from Engadget, Steve Dent, saying that Google is finished thinking two-dimensionally with maps and now shows the Earth as a globe rather than a flat projection as before. So you won't notice the change when you first open the app, but if you zoom out far enough, you'll eventually get a moon's eye view of the world. And that means that you'll see a more realistic way to navigate the globe. Saying that with 3D globe mode on Google Maps desktop, Greenland projection is no longer the size of Africa. So yeah, and obviously the image that they use here for the article, when things were stretched out over the entirety of the map, because things had to be stretched, to fit onto a square surface, Greenland was the size of Africa. Even though you can see now the representation, it is clearly much, 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 much smaller than the size of Africa. So it just adds a bit of realism and makes it look better, saying that the globe mode update is available on desktop and not mobile, but it works on all major browsers. Saying that the change brings maps more in line with Google Earth, which has always presented the world from that viewpoint. So, of course, it's hey, not a lot to that. Luckily, I don't think there were any references to flat earthers, but I am glad to see that they have upgraded their software. It's pretty darn cool. So again, Google Maps is just one of those services that I think everyone uses, and it's pretty cool when they actually put an update out for it. All right. We have talked about Amazon Alexa before. She has these things called skills, just to bring you all up to speed. And these skills can do a number of things. The first skills were, hey, well, I won't use the name in case anyone out there has one listening, but hey, digital assistant, order me a pizza. And yeah, so, and then, and then whatever the digital assistant would then be able to order you a pizza. Not that hard. And so these skills that can do a number of things, people are able to program them. Companies are able to upload their own skills for their customers to interact with. So if you make let's say a webcam service, you can upload an Alexa skill that your customers can then kind of tie in with your existing products. Point is, there's a lot of different skills out there. They said that they're saying that some people leave lights, music, or TV on while they're away to deter burglars, thinking that, hey, maybe someone's home. But a new Alexa skill called Away Mode has a different idea, saying that instead of lights and noises, you can keep your home safe from unwanted visitors by playing lengthy audio tracks that sound like real and completely ridiculous conversations. So in case you kind of want to deter burglars in your area, there you go. Saying that, and by the way, one of our guests in the chat room, for actually in the chat room, mentioned local radio show was talking to a local tech company about Alexa, and his wife was listening when he said over the radio, play artist here, and the music started playing in the house. That's why I always try to make it a point to never use Google Homes or Alexas or anyone else's automated commands, is because I know that my voice would trigger them. And as fun as it would be to mess with all of you, we're going to try to keep it professional here. So with that being said, when you launch Away Mode, Alexa will play one of 7 audio tracks penned as comedy writers from SNL, It's Always Sunny, and UCB. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, one of my favorite shows, and I'm kind of excited about that one. I might have to check this one out. So the company doesn't have permission to share all the writers' names at this time, but it says that there were half a dozen involved, including Kristen Belka Mayer of It's Always Sunny. So they said that these include gems like couple has breakup while also trying to watch TV. 2 average guys brainstorm what's unique about themselves so they can start a podcast about it. Emergency PTA meeting to discuss memes, fidget spinners and other teen fads, and more. So they say that, so all these obviously are not very serious conversations. If you listen to them, you are going to be amused, but all of them are about, and they even give me some, they even, in the article, they provide a lot of examples where, let's say one of them would be a would-be podcaster pitches his friend, okay, you know how much I love ketchup, right? And I guess that would be the start of the conversation for one of these conversations. Anywho, they said that this idea of this wacky skill comes from the folks of homeowners insurance startup Hippo Insurance, who are using it as a means of as a little free advertising. Which, hey, we're talking about it. That's something to, that's something to mention. So they said that explains the company you can turn the volume up and leave your apartment, knowing that any potential burglar will be scared off by thinking someone is at home who is absolutely insufferable. Absolutely. And the tracks themselves are about an hour long, so Away Mode makes sense for those times you are out running errands, but can't take the place of things like timers that turn off and on lights while you're away for vacation. So this will not play continuously for a week straight. Let's say if you're leaving home for a week and you don't have anyone to house sit, this will not take the place of that. But if you're just out for a little while and you want that little bit of assurance, just having human voices in your apartment, this can help. So they said that there are other burglar deterrent skills from Alexa if you're interested in the general concept. They said that, or those that play fake house alarms or have guard dog sounds coming from your Alexa. But yeah, you can download it, try it yourself. I think it's free, again, from an insurance company, but pretty darn cool. So let's see. All right, there's that story. We have time for maybe one, maybe two more before we say have a good weekend. Let's talk about. All right, this one's pretty important. I find myself getting less sleep as time goes on, and I don't know if that's from just situations happening in day-to-day life or whatnot, but one additional cause might just be the fact that I now have high-speed internet. Who knew? So there's an article out from Motherboard. They do a lot of great research. They are a subsidiary of Vice, and we're not going to be able to get to all of this, but I did like the headline, and we're going to get into some of their data. Talking about the title, High-Speed Internet is Causing Widespread Sleep Deprivation, study finds. And they said that this is a first-of-its-kind study, establishes causal link between broadband internet and sleep deprivation. Now, it's important to note that there can be a couple caveats with studies like these. We're going to find out how exactly they were performing these, because just off the top of my head, how did they control for the fact that maybe those who suffer from chronic sleep deprivation, how do we know that this isn't coming from some other effect? And internet usage is just something that they do casually in the meantime. I think like the amount of time that people surf the internet has increased to 6 hours a day on average. That's right, we're surfing the internet almost as much as we're supposed to be working. And I'm sure that there's a lot of overlap there as well. So we're going to figure out if they, kind of accounted for that. But yeah, new study claims that high-speed internet access is at least partly at fault. So they said that, the new study published Friday in the Journal of Economic Behavior and Organization. Never heard of that one, and funded by the European Research Council. So there you go. It's not by Big Sleep. It's the Europeans. Suggests that high-speed internet access is causing people to lose up to 25 minutes of sleep per night, compared to those without high-speed internet access. And they said that the so-called digitalization of the bedroom, so zeros and ones, saying that defined by our inability to part with our phone, laptop, television before bed, has always been linked to various sleeping disorders. The light from smartphones and computers suppresses the production of melatonin, which regulates our sleep cycle. And yeah, so even a single late night text, and you start to look at that blue, that blue emitting screen, that can cause your system can go, to go out of whack. You can get that sudden jolt of energy. And of course, internet addiction has been cited as a major cause of sleep deprivation. And they said that, but does the quality of the internet connection also play a role? So, a couple things before we move on here. If you've never heard of a service called, let me make sure I get this before I, mess this up. So there's a service that I recommend to everyone who uses a desktop computer. It's called f.lux, and you can find it at justgetflux.com. And it's a way that you can tamp down the amount of blue light that comes in through your monitor for your computer. Obviously, Computer America, I assume a lot of you are using computers and using them late at night. So having this, it naturally, I don't want to say it doesn't dim your monitor. It reduces the amount of blue light, so everything kind of shifts over to the orange-red spectrum. And it's not really that noticeable. Once you install it, you might notice it, but eventually it just kind of happens and you accept it. And when you do that, it helps you, less blue light lets you produce more melatonin, and you're able to get your sleeping habits back in order. One of the recent iPhone updates also gives you that feature, and you can find that in the brightness settings as well. Essentially, find a way to cut the amount of blue light from your devices. It's actually very harmful. Studies are still going on about this, but it's a pretty big effect on everyone's day-to-day. And I'm using 3 right now. Exactly. So f.lux. So anyways, high-speed internet, is there a problem? Again, so the question wasn't, do devices have or play a role in losing sleep? Because that's been established before. It's now the quality of the internet allowing you to do more things. Is that playing a role when it comes to people sticking to their phones? So to find out, a research team led by a professor a professor of demography. Okay, this happened in Germany, which has extensive survey data on the sleeping patterns and technology use of its citizens. And moreover, the country is also experiencing a massive economic loss due to sleep deprivation, about $60 billion a year. Germany is losing $60 billion a year in worker productivity because of sleep deprivation. Germany, take a nap. Good Lord. And has a well-documented telecom divide resulting from the Civil War partition of the country, right? East versus West Germany, and yeah. So after the Berlin Wall fell in 1989, many regions in East Germany adopted optical access line technology, which ended up being incompatible with more widely adopted DSL technology. And they said that the distinction between Opal and DSL are technical, but the important point is that they are incompatible. So as DSL became the favored standard among high-speed internet, this posed significant barriers to broadband adoption in Eastern Europe. So Eastern Europe has significantly worse internet than Western Europe. That's the point. So you have 2 segments of a population in the same country that you can then monitor for, it's almost taking everything else into account and then just degrading internet service. And they have a nifty chart here showing, the hours of sleep that one would get. And by the way, maybe about an hour, give or take. But overall, they say that with DSL access, so those with better internet had consistently every single age group, every single category had less sleep. So more sleep deprivation than those without faster internet. There was never a time in any age group that showed, hey, internet speed didn't really make a difference. So as the researchers found, high-speed internet access promotes excessive electronic media use, which has already been shown to have a detrimental effect on sleep duration and quality. So the effects of high-speed internet access were partially noticeable in younger age demographics. Folks, if you want better sleep, take the electronics out of the bedroom. And there's a lot of ways you can take that, but I'm not going to get into that. Folks, everyone out there, have a great day. Thank you so much for joining us. The music means that we are about done here. Have a great weekend. Do something fun. And hey, be sure to catch us here Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern. If you missed any part of today's show, check out the podcast, which is found anywhere and everywhere, including Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Block Talk Radio, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Play, and more. Hey, have a great one. Catch you here next time. Everyone in the chat room, thank you so much for joining us. And everyone listening on IRN, thank you so much as well. Have a great day. Bye-bye.